Welcome to In Touch, where it's our aim to create a healthy organization through the messages that we give to you. Today we have the privilege to speak to Chris Venter, and I heard Chris speaking about this subject at our awards ceremony and also when he announced the business expansion process. In that messages, Chris specifically spoke about the importance of us as people on how we think. And Chris, welcome to this In Touch message. Would you please share with us, what do you believe defines a person?
Yeah, thank you very much, Krista. I think the important part for us is that we need to understand what our thinking is. We need to understand what our limitations are in life. And I think part of that is to understand how you think. So I truly believe that miracles are possible. And as a result of that, I challenge myself constantly on how I think. The reality is that your thinking limits your actions, and as AFCRI, obviously the more we have people that understands that impossibilities are possible, then you start to challenge yourself as an individual, not just in the work environment but also in your personal life. Important for me is to say that there are two main things that normally limit yourself. The one is obviously fear. I think as a result of fear, we are either fear for embarrassment or fear for not being successful in what we're trying to do or not being successful in the risk that we take. So that's obviously the one big challenge that we have that limits us. The issue with that is that we need to put ourselves out there more to say, am I willing to take this risk? In my personal life, obviously, faith is my basis for pushing myself. So I get to an environment where I will start to pray about things and believe more about things, and then understand I need to challenge myself in certain environments. The expansion program is one of those examples where I believe that even in this environment of very difficult economic environment, drought environment, global economies that's struggling, it's time for us to grow. So challenging myself in that, actually position myself for greater things going forward in terms of the company needs to grow, the impossibilities for the company needs to become possible. So that's the one big thing is fear. The second one is really just not having dreams. So if you don't have dreams in terms of where you want to go, you will always just go to the dream that you have. So it's very clear that people who does not expect to be successful, it's very rare that they will actually be successful. So from that point of view, it's important that we understand where we want to go. I have very interesting discussions with the board in terms of budgets, because I believe a budget is actually just another word of providing a ceiling to your performance. So if you don't have a budget, there's actually, sky is the limit. And I think that is the approach that I need to take in myself, to say to myself, am I willing to challenge myself in terms of thinking beyond the possibilities? In other words, having bigger dreams. There's an old saying that says that if your dreams doesn't scare you, you're probably not dreaming big enough. And I think that is the challenge that I'm putting forward to the group and to the individuals, is to say, in this current environment, let's dream bigger. We have fantastic shareholders who's prepared to support us in our dreams and support us in the expansion programs. So let's make sure that we have those unlimited thought processes that can take us further from where we are today.
Sure. And Chris, specifically in terms of the expansion process, is there something you want to say to our employees just in terms of their own thinking? You specifically said we are the result of the thinking of our own people. And in terms of innovation and people that's got the capacity just to think beyond the borders of their own minds, is there something specific you would like to say to the people?
Yeah, it's interesting. I had an interesting debate with my son the other day about school. So he's now in grade 11. So he has his own thinking about why school is not working. And, he showed us the clips of motor cars when he just started, and then compare that to motor cars of today. Obviously a huge difference. And then he did the same with just telephones when he started, and telephones today, the smartphones that we know. And then he did the same with the school process, where he showed a clip of the teacher in school standing in front of the class, and then showing today the same teacher standing in front of the class. So the reality is that in some parts of our environment we're not moving forward. The problem that we have is that the individual, the person in the company is what it's all about. It's all about that individual. And if we can get the individuals in a company to think broader than their current limitations or their current thinking process, then you will expand the company much better and much faster. So it's not really saying for me, you know, the important thing is people need to develop. So as a person, it's important that you, Krista, develops. You know, if you, the same person today that you are, or that you've been 20 years ago, first of all, in your personal life, it would be a limitation for you. Second of all, in your work life, it will be a limitation to you. So it's important for us as a company. I think it's partly our responsibility, partly responsibility of the individual, to make sure that we continue to develop, make sure that we continue to enrich ourselves. And that enrichment, whether you use faith as that, or whether you use just reading or gathering information, that enrichment will help you in your personal life, but it will also be a huge benefit to any company that you work for. So if we can work on supporting individuals, developing individuals, you know, it will have a benefit for both worlds, personal life and work life. And that's where the creativity comes from, because people who constantly look for new things, people who constantly develop themselves, tend to be more creative. People who constantly challenge their own thinking process, they seem to be more creative. They seem to come up with innovative ideas. And any company needs that. You know, AFGRI is not unique in that sense. Any company is about people. It's not really about the assets. You know, we can build fantastic assets in the middle of Africa or in the middle of the best grain area. But if we don't have good people, you know, in those assets or managing those assets, it won't mean anything. So it's really all about the people, and it's really making sure that the people have the support and they operate in the environment, you know, where they can perform and where they can think outside the box.
Well, thank you very much. As employees, we've got this privilege to work with leaders that are thinking about the future. And I today want to ask you, what are you thinking about? What is going on in your mind? Are you still playing the same old tape of 20 years back? Or have you kept up to track with how life has changed? And will you be part of the change process in AFGRI by making sure you renew your mind on a daily basis? We've got the ability to create with our minds. Will you use that ability and come and create our future? It's a privilege to have leaders that's got faith in the future. It's a privilege to have leaders that can think about our future. And Chris, we want to thank you. It's a privilege to have a leader like you in AFGRI.
Sure, thank you. Well, it's all about the people, not about me.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.